So please welcome Professor Mohammed Yunus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Well, I'm delighted to get a chance to brief you on what I've been doing. And the word microcredit probably is familiar with many people. It was something done accidentally. It's not pre-planned or anything like that. I was trying to protect some victims of loan sharks in the village next door to the university where I was teaching. And in order to do that, to protect the victims, the idea that I had, why don't I lend the money myself? If I lend the money, they don't have to go to loan shark. The problem is solved. I don't have to write a big thesis about it. Just go ahead and do it. And it's a very simple thing. Took the money from my pocket and started giving money. Anybody who needs money, come to me. Don't go to the loan shark. And that's how it began back in 1976. I had no idea that it will spill over to the next village or the next village, but it became very popular. It kept on expanding and expanding. That at one point, I thought, I cannot handle it anymore by myself, with my students with me. Why don't I create an institution, a banking institution, to create a bank for the poor people? Everybody laughed. Lending money to the poor people is strange. Now you're talking about bank for poor people. But I didn't give up. And finally, in 1983, we got all the clearances and so on, create a bank called Grameen Bank, and continued doing that. It became very popular within the country, outside the country. The word was coined to explain what we do. It's called microcredit, tiny loans. That word didn't exist in English literature. So they had to coin a word to describe what we do. People keep asking me, how did you design the whole bank that it works for the poor people? The whole world saying it cannot work. And you are insisting that it will work. I said, that, best thing that happened to me in doing this, I never studied banking. I never took a course in banking. So I could do anything I want. So nobody is in the back of my mind telling you have to do this, you have to do that. I didn't follow any of those rules. I defied all those rules. To the extent I keep saying that, well, the reason it works, I didn't know the rules. So I look at the rules what the banks, conventional banks follow. Each time I look at their rules to see what I have to do, once I learn how they do it, I just do the opposite. And it worked. They go to the rich, I go to the poor. They go to men, I go to women. They do it at city center, I go to the remote village. They ask for collateral. I said, forget about collateral. No collateral. If you're dealing with the poor people, collateral doesn't help. It's a wall. So the entire system is based not on collateral at all. It's a mutual trust, if we have to explain anything like that. Conventional banks are owned by rich people. If you own a bank, you have to be a very rich person. We created a bank which is owned by poor people. Not only poor people, poor women. We focus on women. Today in Bangladesh, Grameen Bank, the bank we created, has more than 9 million borrowers. Almost all of them are women. 97% are women. Destitute women, illiterate women, a woman who never crossed the boundary of our village. That's the woman. And it worked. And it is copied around the world. It is discussed in many ways. We were invited to do it in the United States because they are saying this doesn't work in the United States. I said, why? How come? Maybe you're not doing it the right way. They said, why don't you come and show us? So I decided to do that. I created a bank, or not a bank actually, an organization, Grameen America. Started in Jackson Heights, New York, in Queens, in 2008, January, beginning. And came out a beautiful branch of Grameen. And then everybody wanted to Grameen branch in their neighborhood. We want another one in our borough. You want another one in your borough. So now we have 7 branches in New York City. And other cities can come in that in our city, our poor are worse than New York poor. So we said, okay. So we have now 22 branches in 14 cities of the United States. In total, there are more than 100,000 borrowers in all this together in the 10 years. All women, 100% women. The maximum loan amount that you can get in your first loan, a startup loan, is under $1,500. So you can imagine how desperate one has to be to work hard to get to that $1,500. And not all of them are $1,500, some of them $700, some of them $800, and so on. But in total, we have given over $1 billion loan in the United States with perfect repayment in every single branch in every single city. Near 100%. Always over 99.5%. No collateral, nothing, as we follow the same rules and procedure. We kept claiming always from the beginning, I said, Grameen Bank is the only bank in the world which is lawyer-free. No lawyer in our system because we don't need them. You need lawyer when you have to tie them up with their properties and things like that. We have nothing to tie them up. Of the 100,000 borrowers that we have in the United States, 60% of them are undocumented women. Imagine that. Not only women, undocumented. Nobody wants to go anywhere near them. They can be thrown out anytime, particularly with Trump in the White House. You don't know when they're going to thrown out. And these are the people that we gave in total $1 billion, and they pay me back every single penny. People ask me, why there is poverty? What is the reason? You have been working with poor people. I say it's very simple. Poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system that we build around us. It is not created by the persons who are poor. It is imposed phenomenon on those persons. Something came from externally. I try to explain it by saying it's like a bonsai. You know the bonsai tree? You take the seed of a very tall tree and put it in a flower pot. It grows only this big. It doesn't grow big. And you wonder what happened. Very simple explanation. You didn't give enough soil to grow. So it grew only to the extent of you provided the soil. Poor people, to me, are bonsai people. There's nothing wrong with their seed. Simply, society never gave them the space to grow as tall as anybody could be. And I put it this way. I said financial services like loans, insurances, and many other things, these are like financial oxygen to people. Like if you don't have oxygen in this room, we cannot breathe. Soon we'll all collapse. If you don't have the financial oxygen to people, economically people cannot breathe, cannot function. They become dysfunctional. And we call them poor people. It's not their fault. Simply you didn't give them the oxygen. The moment you connect them with oxygen, they become alive, active, creative like anybody else. That's what happens of the millions of women who took loans from Grameen and other such programs to change their life. I confront this issue again and again. How come we cannot get rid of poverty if that's so? I said, because you're not changing the institution. After 42 years of microcredit, and all those good things you talk about, microcredit, Grameen Bank, you even gave a Nobel Peace Prize for that. But the financial system doesn't change. Banks don't change. I said the existing banks are actually bank for the rich. But we don't say that. We just call them banks. Whenever somebody introduces me, they say, he's a banker to the poor. I said, that's great. But would you say that to the other guy who runs the other kind of bank? He's the banker to the rich. You don't say that. So that remains hidden. The fact that it remains hidden, we are not aware of it. If we call them banker to the rich or bank for the rich, everybody will say, where is the bank for the poor? Bank for the poor doesn't exist. And that's the trouble we have. And that's not only that, the whole system that we built works only for the people privileged. It doesn't work for the people at the bottom. And that continues. Today, all the wealth of the world is getting concentrated and fewer and fewer hands. Everybody knows that. But we don't talk about it.
Thank you.